Welcome to Future World Conversations by Future World Alliance. At Future World Alliance, we bring together educators, professionals, and innovators to learn from real world experiences in AI, technology, and the future of work. Today's session is all about a very important question, that is, how can AI make us better decisions, not just generic outputs? We are excited to welcome Samriddhi Vats, an analytical professional at Amazon, who will share us how she built a real system to identify high quality opportunities from professional connections using data, ranking logic, and AI generated insights. This session will help us think about AI systems that are useful, transparent, and trustworthy. With that, with that intro, I will hand it over to Samriddhi. Samriddhi, over to you. Thank you so much for leading this session for us.
For sure. Thank you so much, Padma, for the introduction, and thank you for inviting me for this session. I will go ahead and share my screen, and we can begin the presentation. But before that, thank you, Peter, Amrita, and Prabhasana for joining us today, for giving your precious 1 hour of Friday for me. So welcome to the session, and I'm really excited on what we end up with the session in terms of thoughts and brainstorming. So I'll go ahead and start presenting my screen. Cool. So yeah, start with the first slide. So the topic that I will be talking about today is, and before that, during the conversation, if you have any questions or any thoughts, please drop in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand in between, you can do so as well. Padma, feel free to stop me in between because I'll not see the chat, but feel free to chime in between. When I want it to be a conversational and not a one-way presentation. Okay, the topic is designing AI for real decisions, and there's a second part to it, which is from connections to opportunities. Through this presentation, I basically want to cover extensively on the first part, where we move from just building and creating multiple AI products that nowadays it's all about vibe coding, prototyping, and all of that, to actually turning or building systems, irrespective of the field you are in, that can make real decisions for you, for your stakeholders, for your team, or in whichever circumstances you are going to use it. And the second part of topic, which says from connections to opportunities, that basically implies to a case study or an example that you will hear me using or referring quite often throughout the slides. It's basically from a product that I had built. I can talk about that later. Okay, so what decision is your AI actually helping someone make? Not in terms of you type a prompt, you get some outputs, not in terms of what it generates or the 5 top recommendations that it provides. What is one decision does the person walk away from that the system is ready to make? And that person could be anybody, whether you are creating some system for your leadership, your stakeholders, or even for yourself. If you are building a personal project, or if you're if you're a solopreneur, and you're building AI systems, what is the one decision that it is helping you to make, and not just providing a list of recommendations that you will ultimately have to choose from? So hold on to that question. It's going to be the lens for everything we cover today. And by the end of the session, I want you to be able to apply it to any AI system you are building, buying, or using, or in whatsoever capacity. So I just want to kind of ask to the group, like, when was the last time an AI tool made a decision easier and not just faster? And before you answer, let me clarify, like, what's the difference between making a decision easier and making a decision faster. So faster would look something like this: like you paste 40 emails or 40 messages into an AI tool, and it summarizes them in 20 seconds. Like a lot of time saved and very impressive, but you still have to figure out which one do I reply first? What do I actually say? It gave you like a shorter pile, but it didn't help you decide what to do, especially in a low effort task. Easier would look something like this, that the tool says, this email from your manager is the one that needs a response today. She's asking you to confirm a decision by 3 p.m. and here is what she actually needs from you. Now you know exactly what to do. And that's what I would call easier. So yeah, I would like to hear if you have any instances or any last time it may help you make a decision easier instead of just giving you like a list of recommendations. You can drop in chat or you can speak out as well. And
I see Amrita's comment in the chat saying, while choosing one course over other during MBA, easier or faster depending upon the use case.
Yeah, that's exactly, like, that's one of the use cases that we all kind of nowadays, especially, there are so many AI related courses, ML related courses out there, and you ask ChatGPT or Claude that I want to learn this and this subject or topic, what resources can I refer, and gives you top 10 or top 15 list. But you cannot basically just start and complete all those 15 in a go. You need something to start with, that one thing. So that's something we should aim towards while we are building a system, or even while we are kind of building a prompt based system, that the output should be in a way that makes the decision easier for us, and it's not a cognitive overload in terms of too many responses by AI. Okay, so to refer to my example, I would use my product that I built as an example to showcase what I learned of building using AI, and where I think humans should be involved, and where I think the decision making becomes important. So the product that I had built is called Warm Path, and it basically takes your LinkedIn connections, your network data, like your first degree connections. You upload your connections data to the tool, and what it does is it asks you what's your target role, what's your target company, and based on the target role, it gives you a list of people from your network whom you can reach out to for referrals, and it also provides a score corresponding to those people, a kind of a relevance score, like who would be the high relevance person to reach out to, who would be a low relevance person to reach out to, and a sample outreach message, and also a reason why that person was ranked whatever it was ranked. So this is a little improved version of the product. However, when I first built it, and nowadays building starts, like the building has become so easy because of so many automations and AI tools, that we go from idea to execution. It gives us that kick that, wow, we are able to build something so cool in such a short time, that we do not actually put the mental effort to think what should be built, what is useful, what is not. We kind of accept the first response that AI gives to us in terms of building, and that's how I had started it. Like, it was part of a hackathon, this that I had to build something, an idea or something, and I had to use certain tools. So I started with just that. Like, in just 2 days, I had with all the prompts, all the planning and spec creation and all of that, I had the product ready. But the first beta of the product, I would say, when I kind of try to test it with the real users before opening it out to the larger public on LinkedIn or so, that's when I kind of faced the roadblocks and the areas which I have not thought about, and the people brought that up. Give me a list of people, and at that time, the first version did not have any scoring, any relevance scoring, or why this person matters to me. It gave a list of people in my network whom I can reach out to, definitely based on the target role. Like, if I wrote product manager as the target role, it gave me a list of product managers who were there in my network, who were working in different companies, and I could reach out to them, definitely. But maybe person A is stronger than person B, and their response rate would be higher because we share some similarity. We are from same college. Maybe we worked in a same company before. So obviously person A would be stronger to reach out to than person B. But in the first go, I just had a list, or the users just had a list, and not a decision maker that, okay, this is the person you have to reach out to because of XYZ reasons, and this is also the score attached to this person, and you can also use the sample message to reach out to the person, and it also had embedded LinkedIn profile or the clickable link of that person. So that kind of gave the users the freedom or the ability to make one concrete decision, instead of my first version where users were like, they came to me and they're like, okay, fine, it gives me a list, but what do I do? So yeah, that was one of the major learnings from the product that I built. And it happened, the product built in 48 hours, but the responses started coming in. And that's when I realized that the real building starts now, after you have done the prototyping, after you have released out the beta version, and after people have provided feedback. That's where the real building starts. I hope I'm good so far. And Padma, you can tell
Yes.
me when to stop, like in terms of timings and all.
Oh yeah, you're good. It's really interesting. I really want to know more.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you.
Moving to the next slide. As I explained before, like I told myself that, okay, this can have technical problems because it's just a prototype. I spent these 2 days building it, and yes, there were technical issues because if I launched it for a larger audience, like hundred thousands of people, the latency issues, the time it takes for the website to load, or like the time it took for the backend model to run and analyze people's network, because someone could have 100 connections and someone could have like 100,000 connections. So the time it will take for the model or whatever the backend logic that I have provided to rank would be different. So all of those were definitely some technical issues that I had to tackle about. But the feedbacks that I received was not anticipated in terms of the decision making system that people reached out to. So users had the output, they had the recommendations, and they were not sure what to do next. That's when I realized something, that all of this sounds really simple, but like when people are telling me that what should I do now based on the recommendation you have given, that question really sounds simple and you can apply to any context, but that actually changes everything in terms of your thought, in terms of how you approach any kind of system building, like AI system based building. And that's when I had understood that I built an information system that's providing people information, and my users needed a decision system. Those are not the same thing. And this is not applicable just for this use case. I have, like, while I work in Amazon, work in a analytics team, and we build a lot of analytics, AI-based analytics systems and pipelines. And that's where, as we evolve using different AI tools and technologies, and everyone become really advanced at using it, that's what I observe more and more, that I don't need to just build another system, another tool, or another pipeline. I need something that is giving, ultimately, everything is driving a business or a decision, irrespective of whichever field you are working in. It needs to answer a non-technical question, a business question, basically. So that's where I understood that it's very important to build a decision system while you are building, taking care of all the technical issues and all the information that you're trying to provide to your users. So an information system would ask you, okay, what can I show? What are the different lists that I can give to you? What are the different metrics? These are the 30 metrics that are trending at so and so level this month. But a decision system asks that, okay, what does this person need to do? And based on that, it responses. It tries to understand what's standing between them and actually them taking that action or doing that action. So it understands that part and it provides the driving answer. So these are two very completely different questions. Sounds very simple if we just think about the English language wording, like information, decision, all of that. But these are really important as we all navigate towards this AI related world, at least in the world that we are living in the technical world that we are living in. So these are two completely different questions and two completely different products. So most AI systems today are very good at generating things for you to process. Very few are designed to help you act. It's a deep quote. I would like you to give some thought to it. Like, think about the last time you asked an AI tool to help you make a decision, maybe with job offer to take, like as Amrita mentioned about the MBA college decision, how to handle a difficult conversation at work, or even just how to structure like a presentation, for example, the presentation that I'm giving today. Probably what it will give me a list, like, okay, 5 things to consider based on your audience. These are the 7 frameworks, different perspectives. These are the rankings based on so and so websites that tell this college is good because of so and so reasons. And all of them are valid, all of them are interesting, but the way these systems are designed is to give you more and more to think about, not to help you decide. Like, every time I ask ChatGPT or Claude some question, or what should I, a simple as simple as like, what kind of bulb do I need to purchase for this lamp that I have bought? And it will give me 5 different, oh, you can do this because this has this much power, but this will not last long, and this is energy efficient. So it will give me like 3 different options. Like, you are trying to choose a course, and you ask AI tool for recommendations, it gives you 12 options with pros and cons for each, and you now have like 12 tabs open. You're trying to understand which one is better, and all of that seemed very interesting. So you're no closer to signing up for anything. So in all these cases, the AI exactly did what it was designed to do. It generated things for you to process. It was not just designed to help you act. So that's the real gap, and not the technology. And that's the design intent that we should be mindful of in whatever capacity we are using AI to build things, whether it's a small scale, personal, corporate level, or large scale production based system, to keep the design intent in mind. Coming to the slide about decision stack. So if that is the problem, like AI is giving us things to process instead of helping us decide, what does the solution actually look like? And this, that is the decision stack that you see on the screen. This is something that I have kind of learned, and my teaming with AI has evolved over months as I have engaged more and more in personal capacity, in professional capacity at Amazon. And this is what I have kind of concluded so far in terms of how these stacks build up and what are the different layers and what are the important, where each layer would lie. So I would call this like a 4-layer decision stack, and I'm going to walk you through all using an example that you can feel the difference between them. So let's take the simple example of you receive a job offer and you ask AI tool to help you think it through. So layer 1, information. It shows you, the system or the tool shows you the facts. Okay, salary, the company size, location, commute distance, all of that. It lays all the factors out. It's definitely a starting point, but you know most of it, obviously, kind of. Since you got the job offer, you applied for it, you know most of the information, and you're sitting here thinking, okay, but what does this actually mean for me? Should I take it or not? If you have like conflicting job offers, or if some of the criteria are not, some of the factors are not matching up to what you want. So now comes the layer 2, the insight. Now the system starts interpreting. It tells you that, okay, the salary is 18% above what you are earning now. The commute is maybe longer than average, and the company's headcount has been flat for 2 years. Now you have kind of a backing to understand what the numbers mean. You are a bit smarter than what you were 5 minutes ago, but you're still sitting there like, okay, fine. So what do I do? Like, how do I interpret it for myself? Maybe it's relevant for a company level decisions, but how are these numbers relevant for me to make this decision? So then comes the layer 3, where the system is recommending you. It says, we recommend accepting the offer. And I feel recommend word is one of the favorite words for AI LLM based tools. Like, it recommends you a lot of things. So you think, okay, finally I got a recommendation, something to act upon. But like, why should I act upon that? Based on what if my priorities are different from whoever this thing was designed for? The recommendation is there out there, but there is nothing holding it up. You can't push back on it. Like, you cannot push back as you would do while you're negotiating with the HR. You don't fully trust it. And the final layer, which is your decision support, there's almost where no system goes, whether it's about asking a simple question of accepting a job offer or not, or whether it's building a product analytics, or in general a data analytics pipeline, where it decides whether the metric that's moving up is actually relevant to make a business decision or not. So the final layer, the decision support layer, tells you that, okay, you told us that the career growth matters more to you than salary right now. This company's growth has slowed, and 3 people in similar roles have left in the past year. The commute adds 90 minutes to your day, time you would have spent rather differently. So here's the one question to ask to the company before you decide. So it gave you all these contexts. So now you know like what to do. Okay, I know these are the reasons why it's recommending so and so, and these are the decisions enough for me to make a final call, or maybe go and negotiate with the company if needed to. So it kind of, what it did was it removed everything that was standing between you and your own decision. Ultimately, it's you who are making the decision, but there are a lot of ifs and nots, pros and cons, why and why nots standing between when we are thinking about making a decision, especially the important ones. So the system should be designed in a way that it removes all those obstacles that are standing between us and us making a decision. And that's where its true feature would lie. And this applies, again, I'm repeating this because it's an analogy that you can take to your personal life, to your personal projects while you're using AI, and also to especially to the professional environment where you are using AI to build different tools. Do not just build it to show it to your leadership or your team that, hey, I have built this cool stuff. And when someone dives deep into it, and when you are asked a question, okay, fine, there are so many cool stuff that everyone is building, so many cool tools, automation stuff that people are doing, but how is it helping instead of just adding another tool to the tool stack, that there are like thousands of tools that exist? So always ask yourself that whoever would be the final user of the system you're building, is it actually help them make a real decision and move the needle where they were stuck at? So I will take a pause if there are any questions here, and then we can proceed further.
So I had a question. You said you build the system based on the LinkedIn connections and all that, right? So I know that LinkedIn has got a lot of restrictions. So how you were able to pull up all the data to build the system?
Yeah, to start with, LinkedIn has a feature where you can export your connections in a CSV format. So that does not need any scraping or any kind of bypassing the LinkedIn security protection or anything like that. You can just go to your settings. There's a settings and privacy, I guess, and to your data, there's an option to download your data, and you can click download your own data, and then it will output a CSV file to your email. So that has a lot of data. And also, if anybody's interested, that LinkedIn file has a lot more other data too. So if you're interested to do any sort of analysis, you can use that as well.
Good to know. Yeah.
Yeah, so you output a CSV file, and that file basically is what my system accepts, that you upload your own file. So that also kind of ensures data privacy, that I'm not seeing your connection, you're not seeing my connection. But another goal of mine is also to kind of make people benefit from others' connection too, but not really exploit their data. In that way, the database would become larger and larger. But at this point, it's to each its own, their own connections, and then you use it to
so it's only first connections that it extracts, right?
Yeah, because first connections are in the records of the LinkedIn, not the second degree connections.
Okay.
Yeah. And I can share the link if anybody is willing to try that at the end of the session. But yeah. Cool. If there are no more questions, I would move to the next slide, sorry. Okay. Yeah, nothing new in this slide. I think I covered that this framework would work everywhere, irrespective of the domain that you are in. And one thing that I would want you to take away from this presentation is that decision stack layer to think about. And one question that I had started in the beginning on the decision making, if it is doing. So this slide basically illustrates an example in how this decision layer stack would apply to different domains. Like education, we talked about healthcare, for example. It says your blood pressure is elevated. At layer 1, there are 2 specific options to discuss with your doctor at Thursday's appointment. That's what your layer 4 is saying. So that's like the suggestion that these are the 2 specific options that you need to discuss with your doctor at Thursday's appointment. That's giving you much more solid pointers in order to talk to the patients, and these decisions would belong to you, and it would be staying between the patient and the doctor. So it just removes the obstacles in between. Same with the productivity tools or the career options we already discussed. So just start thinking about your own context, whether you are in education, healthcare, startup, a large company, building tools, or just even using them. You can place any AI system on this stack right now and see where it stands. So we can also try doing that, like if you're willing to share, or even not share, if you can just analyze whatever AI systems you are using, even if it's a beginning, a small scale or large scale, where does it live? On what stack of decision does it live? Is it just at the information layer, insight layer, recommendation layer, or is it actually supporting the decision-making process? So just a quick thought, food for thought for everyone. I'll just take a brief pause. If you have to share the numbers.
Yeah. You can unmute and then even talk. That's totally fine. Feel free to unmute.
And totally fine if you do not understand at this moment, feel free to just speak out any thoughts that you have on AI systems and stacking them at different layers.
So most responses are between 1 to 3, 1, 2, and 3.
Nice. Awesome. So yeah, I mean, that's completely normal. And thanks for being honest. Most AI tools live there as well. All of these, whatever we have covered, it sounds a bit of the philosophical side of the AI building process that we are part in, but it's very important to build a useful AI systems or whatever AI tools, all these pointers that we have discussed and the frameworks that we have discussed, because otherwise we are just creating AI slop of so many tools and so many automations and stuff. So you might not need another automation. You might just need the existing tool and kind of reconfigure it in a way that it is helping someone make a decision. Because people mostly, especially in the corporate environment, your senior leadership or your stakeholders are not concerned with your fancy tools or what kind of automation it does. They are concerned if it's actually helping them in any way or not, whether to improve their work output, their productivity, or to make the decision of whether to launch this product or not, or whether this feature is useful or not. So, but great, thanks for sharing that. Now, since we have all talked about the whole decision stack layer, and we also discussed where each of our AI systems live currently. So what are the shifts that we should take? What are the design shifts that we should take in order to move up the stack? So there are the three main design shifts that make the difference, and none of them require you to change the underlying AI model. The first shift is going from output to explanation. So the two cards on the screen, the left one says your risk score is 7.2. Fine, that's an output. You're supposed to do something with that because there's a risk score of 7.2 and maybe it's out of 10, so it's on a higher side. A lot of assumptions. But what am I supposed to do with that? The system does not say. So basically think of your system and think, okay, if it's giving me an output like this, that means I need to move from this output to something better than that. And that's what the right card says. So right card says the same thing, like your score is 7.2, but it also tells you why. Your last 3 readings have been trending upward. At this rate, maybe your doctor will likely want to discuss medication at your next appointment. And here is what questions you can ask your doctors. So same number, same data, but different experience of trust. That right one gives you more trust. So people do not distrust AI because it's wrong or it can be wrong based on how you have built it. They distrust it more because they cannot interrogate it like you can do a human. Because if you will notice, AI is not really, it will correct itself. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't notice it. 2 plus 2 is 5 if it gives, and you will say 2 plus 2 is, no, 2 plus 2 is 6. And it will, the more you ask itself, it will say, oh, I'm sorry, maybe 2 plus 2 is 6, and you are right. So it's very good at saying yes to whatever next recommendation you're providing, but it's not really good at self-correcting or interrogating unless you kind of build a whole system through that type of instructions. So yeah, people do not distrust AI because they cannot interrogate it. They can't push back on it. They cannot understand whether to trust it for their specific situation or not. When you add explanation, you don't just make the output more useful, you make it trustworthy for people who are consuming that output. And that's what moves a system from kind of layer 2 to upward layers, layer 3 or layer 4. So question here would be that, can a user of my system explain to someone else why they got the recommendation they got? If they can't, the system is not doing its job halfway through as well. If I'm building a tool, and if I'm telling that the feature that you're going to launch has increased this metric by 10% or 10 basis points, but it does not actually analyzes whether that feature was actually relevant for that decision to make, to whether to launch a product or not, then if it's not giving that decision, then it's not really useful for the product manager or the tech leader who is going to launch that. So they need a very concrete signal. So it's very important to kind of give your users an explanation on why they got some certain recommendation by the AI system that you have built. The next design shift is from completeness to context. So this one shift is that goes against the instinct of almost every person who builds AI system, including me. And the instinct is that more information is better. Like we get huge chunks of explanations and answers from for the questions we ask AI. If you remember, many a times while we are giving interviews or writing essays or kind of engaging in any conversations at work or presenting someone, we are told that be as precise as possible and do not kind of make it too verbose, right? But most of the AI responses have a lot of information in this, a lot of sentences, similar sentences repeating with different words and slightly different meanings. So it's the goal with why it gives a lot of information is that give the user everything and let them decide what matters. And that's what kind of we as humans and as AI users have started doing that in our usage as well, that we kind of build systems to give as many information to our stakeholders and let them decide what matters, because decision making here is critical, and it comes back to the human and it's not for AI, which is wrong. So more information is not more helpful. It's just more to process. It's just more cognitive overload. So here is the example or analogy that changed how I think about this. So like, let's say, consider taking an example of, you imagine someone being in the ER emergency room and physician walks in. Do they sit down and read the entire medical history before deciding what to do? Not really. If it's in an emergency situation, they see your vital signs, here what's your main complaint, symptoms, and all of that, and they take their first action. And the entire system around them, the triage process, the way information is presented, what shows up first, is designed to surface what matters right now and suppress everything that does not. So that's not about cutting corners. It's a great design in itself. It's not just about what can I show. It's about like what does this person need at this exact moment, given what they're trying to decide. So that's a very precise question to ask. So like think about like student dashboard, and it shows uh, multiple metrics, 50, 30, 40 metrics about their performance. This is the completion rate of their homeworks. These are the quiz scores. These are the time they completed their tasks on time. These are the comparison with their peers and all of that. So that's not actually helping them study better. The lot more metrics are not telling them whether you're good or bad, or where should you focus on. And it's not helping them study. It's just creating analysis paralysis. And that's seen in most of the decisions that we're making today. Like it's too much analysis paralysis with too much information out there. Like what does a student 3 days before their exam actually need to see? So that's very precise, few things to focus on. Okay, these are the two things that they should focus on. That's it. Everything else would be a noise. So more context over like completeness should be preferred always, instead of just generating a lot a verbose answer. To something very precise and contextual would be preferred in a design system for AI. And the last for the design shift is add friction where it matters. AI has reduced friction in many ways, and it's also the introducing friction has also been a talk of the town nowadays by people who are building AI, also people who are talking about the implications of it, the governance aspect of it, on how it has become detrimental. So, and the third shift is also the one. This is really important. It also surprised me because I did not start um, with adding friction to my thinking or to the systems that I'm building. It as I evolved with my usage over time, it kind of I understood that it's how important it is, and it kind of self-taught me. So it also probably goes against everything you have been told about building good products. We are told to reduce friction, make it faster, make it smoother, one click, zero effort. For a lot of things, it's right, but there's a category of decision, the kind that really matters, the kind that's hard to undo. It's a one way door where the best AI systems do not remove friction. They should deliberately add friction to it. So again, I'm considering similar examples. Like for example, um, in my own system, like warm path that I built, where AI recommends someone to reach out to and drafts a message. It does not send the message though. Like it does not opens the LinkedIn profile of the person automatically and sends the person without my consent. It shows me the draft, and then I decide whether to send it or not, whether to add any more customizations, or whether whatever it has written is correct or not, whether it's referring someone else's profile and telling me this person worked in your company before, or this person was in the same school that you studied before. So it's showing me the draft, and I decide if I have to send it or not. So that pause there has been added intentionally, because the relationship that I will be building is mine. It's not The AI will not be held accountable if anything goes wrong. The system will not be held accountable if anything goes wrong. So the decision is mine, and the AI have just did the work, helped me kind of reach at that stage, but the human makes the call and should make the call. So it's not about where can I remove friction. It's more about where is friction protecting something really important at what stage of that whole AI driven system. Where does the human need to be in the loop? Because not because the AI cannot handle it, it definitely can. I can automate sending a message as well, but because the decision belongs to a person. And it will be a very personal decision on where you have to involve the human in the loop, or where you have to introduce friction, where you have to remove friction. And same applies to anything that you're building. Like yesterday I was talking to someone at work who is researching on the human AI teammate, like AI as a teammate idea, and how it is evolving in the corporates. And a very important point which most of us ignore, and that's where it clicked to me, is that although I'm using all these systems, I'm building the tools, analytics pipelines to make some decision, and I'm presenting that decision to someone, but if something goes wrong or something happens, who will be accountable for that? Can I tell that my AI teammate was accountable for that? I don't think I am mentally ready or at that position, or people are at that position to accept that. because again, the human who is delivering the output will be questioned. So it's very important to understand where to introduce friction or where to involve the human in the loop for the whole design that you are trying to build. So like, this is a summary of whatever design shift that we covered, and how you can shift from layer 1 to layer 4, like who's making the decision, what they need, what they don't need, and where the human judgment have to stay in the loop. So this is just, I think I already covered on like my warm path tool that I built, what questions I asked, and how I improved it from the basic version that I built that just gave out a list of people to improving it to give a deterministic ranking, a score. And pay attention here that I use the word deterministic in ranking and not probabilistic. AI tools are probabilistic in nature. For certain things, like deciding to rank, let's say for example, Padma is my connection and I want to reach out, I'm looking to change my role to something that is very aligned with the industry that Padma is in and her role is in. And uh, my tool tells me that okay, Padma is your highest ranked person to reach out to, and if I click the run button again, the analyze button again, next time it gives me someone else's name, like it gives me another person's name. So again, it's not very reliable at that moment. So you also need to decide where you need to keep it deterministic, that it gives a concrete answer every single time, same answer every single time, and where it is probabilistic. So I kind of improved my tool to give that score which is deterministic in nature, and keep the outreach messages as probabilistic, which AI would determine based on the person's profile and all of that, and it can change the messaging, which is fine. That is not going to affect a lot, because obviously when I'm clicking send, I'm overseeing the message. So that's also a very important point that I wanted to highlight in terms of thinking about the tools and the nature of the tools. We partly covered this as well, evaluating AI beyond engaging. So like how do you know if your AI system is actually working? Many teams answer this question using metrics like engagement metrics, daily active users, click-through rate, session length, feature adoption, retention, all of that. Metrics tells you that people are using the system. They don't tell you whether the system is helping them make better decisions. So you can have a system that everyone uses every day and still have a system that is not making meaningful difference to how people work or decide. So the metrics that would actually matter would look different. And that's where evaluation, or are you measuring the right things question come into the place. Did the user take action after seeing the AI's output that it gave? That it's saying that, hey, maybe this location in your, so I'm speaking, let's say I'm taking an Amazon's example, and some tool that I built, it's saying that, okay, this location is causing a bottleneck in your supply chain, or is causing causing a bottleneck in your inventory that's flowing in. So whether that's helping user to make a decision or not, it's very important. Can they explain to you why the system recommended what it recommended? That did that lead to a better outcome? And would they trust this system, which is very important, with a higher stakes version of the same decision? Otherwise, it's not really useful of building the whole system and putting in that much effort. So because trust would scale with stakes. The higher the stakes, the higher people would trust the human or the system that human has built if the outcome it generated is useful or meaningful. So if the people are just using it for low stakes decision, and not, it's not because the AI is bad, it's just because they have not seen enough to trust it with what actually matters, the big large scale decisions. So engagement metrics would tell you if people are using the system, and outcome would tell you whether it's working or not. So these are like different measures that you will have to decide on what to evaluate your tools and systems from. So we are almost towards the end of the slides and the presentation. This is kind of a table summary of what we discussed before, in what are the reversible decisions, what are the irreversible ones, low stakes, high stakes, and where you can automate freely, or where you need a human or a confirmation or not. So yeah, like we have discussed most of the things, most of the important things that I wanted to highlight, the thought that I wanted to instill in all of you, that whenever you are kind of building things, because a lot of building is happening, everyone is building, everyone is enabled to build because of the tools and everything available outside, but ask the important questions before you are building anything with AI. And this would not apply if you are just trying to experiment with something just for seeing if your idea works or not. That's totally fine. It's for something that you want people to use in long term or even in short term, but want people to use and make decisions out of or help them, in any capacity. So it's for those use cases that I would say. I think we covered all of these questions again, but just these are the summarizing part on these are the leading questions that will be your anchor while you are designing systems on who needs the support, where does it live, can the user explain what it gave them, why it gave them, and where does it need more friction and flow. So we covered all of these parts in the design shift that we were talking about. Sorry. Yeah, so this is the last thing that I would leave you all with. Like, it's not about just generating an answer. It's about removing the obstacle between you and the decision that you were anyways going to make. That just making the decision making process backed with sound judgments, which you are using the whole system for, AI system for. So yeah, this is the final decision stack that I will leave the slide on. The one thing that I would want you to take away from this presentation. But yeah, thank you for your attention. I'm open to any questions.
This is amazing. I had a question in between. I just put it in the chat. In a decision support system, how do you prevent important edge cases from being hidden when you're intentionally reducing the information?
So when you are intentionally reducing the information, that's like, I think most of it is in a question. So you will have to intentionally decide what to reduce and what to not. Like when you're preparing the foundations and base of the systems that you're building, the instructions that you are giving it, or whatever skills that you are adding to the systems that you are building, it's very important to highlight both the do's and don'ts, both like what what you want the system to know and what you don't want to know, and also the edge cases. So it all comes at the training layer, or at, let's say, the instructions building layer that you give on, you should consider this, you should consider this. So as holistic as it is, but at the same time keeping it very precise, would enable it to cover all the edge cases. So it's again I would put it in this way, that in any systems, at the input and at the output level, human involvement is very critical, especially if you're using AI to build. If you expect an AI output, a really good AI output, without a solid foundation that you have provided to the whole system that you have built as an input, then it will not be as sound as you expect. So the most work that lies at this point is in the input that you are giving to the systems. And also, obviously, there are multiple ways in how you can give better inputs to the systems that you're building in the backend, so that it builds better. And then output is, again, where you need to get involved in evaluating it and in kind of recorrecting it and configuring it.
Exactly. Thank you for sharing. Anyone has any questions? Ross, yes.
Yes. Well, first, thanks for doing this. This was really, really great. I had one question. You had mentioned just a couple of slides ago on not measure users, but measure that it's making the right decisions. How do you get feedback? How do you know it's the right decision? Do you build telemetry in there, or do you have a feedback system? How do you know that it's either helping make right decisions or not?
That would change product to product. If it's a small level product, let's say you are testing it with a smaller team, you will have a feedback system directly from the people that you are testing it, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
You can embed it directly in the tools that you have used, in terms of okay, let me give through an example. So the product that I built, I took it to some users and wanted them to test it. So I got real feedback, and that's a human generated feedback, and I kind of went back to incorporate it. For example, if I consider the Amazon's example, if I'm working on a bigger product or a feature that's going to be embedded in a website, or that's going to be launched, there the feedback that I would get is from the signals or the telemetries that I'm getting from the data.
Okay.
So it will change depending upon the system to system on how large scale or how small scale it is. But there I would build my feedback loop around the telemetry, and I would give I would build the agent in a way that, let's say I don't want PII data in my telemetry, but the signals are saying that, okay, this click at this point released or captured some of the PII data. So my signal is built, my agent is built in a way that says that PII data as per the design was not supposed to be incorporated, but the code base has kind of enabled it, and we are getting it in the telemetry. So the feedback loop goes to the tech team and says that, hey, you need to course correct it, and you do not have to embed the PII data, and you need to redact it. And then goes to the data engineering team to mention that our tables should redact these columns. So that becomes like a loop in the intelligence layer and the analytics pipeline.
Excellent. Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, one more question, Samriddhi, before we end the call. So what tech stack, what AI tool did you use to build this, and how often do you use this? Is it just to get the referrals or connections, or how do you use this, your one path system?
So I used multiple tools. I started with Kiro, then used Claude Code as well. So I started with Kiro because I wanted it to go from like first plan the product and then create like the steering docs and then kind of go into the code base, like how the real environment works. We do not directly go into coding in the real environment. Like we plan the product, we design the product, we create user stories, acceptance criteria, and all of that. So that's what my approach was. So I used Kiro and Claude Code to build it, and I have been improving it using like multiple different AI tools, kind of seeing which one is kind of understanding the user stories that I want to incorporate in it, and how often I use it. So I currently I'm not actively I'm not using like looking for referrals as such, but so I'm not currently actively using it, but I extended it to a lot of the people in my network who are kind of actively job hunting. So it would be really useful for people who are trying to switch jobs or hunting for jobs, and they are looking for options outside the usual applying on LinkedIn or applying on the traditional job boards portal. If they're looking for different ways on how to reach out to different people, how to reach out to startups. And that's another thing that I wanted to add to my product is how to make it more holistic, like kind of building a network intelligence tool, so that let's say like if we met in some other event, I can log that record into it, and it keeps me connected, so that in future when I ask it that I need some information about this area or this event, it suggests me people accordingly, like the people that I meet in different networking events and all of that. But right now it is useful for people who are navigating the job search or transitioning into a new role market, or even if not, if I just want to see that who would be the right people to reach out to in my network for someone else, for my peers as well, then I can use that to kind of make a recommendation for them.
Wonderful. Is it open for everyone to use it, the tool?
Yeah, it's open for everyone to use it. Yeah.
Do you want to share the link in the chat? I can include that in the while uploading this recording.
Yeah, I can share the link. Can I share it after the call? It's not.
Yeah, sure. I will send you an email. You can reply back in the follow-up email with all those things, so that I'll include while sharing this on the LinkedIn post.
Awesome.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Anyone has any question? This was really a wonderful session. It's for me personally, I feel it gives me a lot of thinking to do in while making building the systems and how decisions are made. And I'll definitely look into that system and then try to see how I can use it for my personal use case. Amrita, you have any question?
No, not question, but I was just trying to relate what I have learned in this week. So Samriddhi, first of all, thank you for this session. Again, it's like a reinforcement of what we do and what we try to learn about AI. So this week at Launchpad, we have learned chain of thoughts and tree of thoughts. I was just thinking about the same, like, yes, now it does make sense a lot that why we use those systems, because that's what gives LLM to think intelligently rather than just throwing up output. So I was just trying to relate what I've learned this week. So thank you for this session.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. And for me also, it's been a journey of learning. Like it doesn't come in the first instance you start using AI tools, I believe. Initially, it was all about the kick that it gives when you turn your idea into a live product. But the more you use it, and I guess this will be the talk of the town going forward as well, as people acquaint themselves with building with AI, the next thing will be how to actually build something that is useful. I mean, because everyone is building. There's so much out there, so many tools. But something that can be used, or something that can be evaluated really well by humans and then can be used, will be important, I feel. Yeah.
Right. Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing this, Samriddhi. Despite your being under the weather, you shared your insights, experiences, and practical framework. This is really amazing. Thank you, everyone, whoever have joined. We will be sharing our recording on the YouTube, and please look out for my follow-up Substack newsletter on this. I have a lot more insights to share. Thank you so much, and see you in next week at the same time at 8 a.m. PST next Friday. Thank you. Have a
Thank
great,
you all.
wonderful day.
Bye.
Thank you.